Good evening. Welcome to Economic Forum. My name is Tawanda Gudlanga. As Zimbabwe is open for business, our focus this week is on the economy as Zimbabwe seeks to achieve a middle income status by 2030. My guest this week is Mr. CALLISTO JOKONYA, who is a past president of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries and a renowned industrialist. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening, Tawanda.
What would you think as an industrialist when they say Zimbabwe is open for business?
Thank you. It's a very exciting time that Zimbabwe is open for business. It means everybody must take part in developing Zimbabwe, creating business.
No, you're talking about everybody. But critics say that the mantra that is coming from government, led by His Excellency Comrade Mnangagwa, is more about dealing with investments that are coming from outside Zimbabwe, as opposed to having the local players taking the role of participating in the economy.
I think that would be a wrong interpretation of what the president is saying. The president is simply saying Zimbabwe is open for business. It means each and every one of us who is keen to take part in developing this economy and taking part in developing business, you are free to do it. And being told that you're free to do it, it means the opportunity is available to everybody, no matter where you are. For me, I even call the people in the rural areas, in the communal areas, to take part, because most of them that sit on the land, they must think business and begin to develop a business from the land that they occupy. So Zimbabwe is open for business. It means we are going to see a glut of production if everybody takes part.
How would you describe Zimbabwe's economy presently?
Positive, encouraging, and attractive for anyone who wants to come and do business in Zimbabwe. Why do I say that? It's being driven by people who are keen to see that Zimbabwe flourishes and develop economically and utilize all its resources in a manner that will make it a successful country. So it's attractive, and I would say if one had even $100, you can start business. Even less than $100, you can start a business. But it's just a question of discipline. I think the key area that we need in order one to become a business person, you have to be a very disciplined person to understand what it means to invest.
But then this is the big question, because you are saying that one can actually start business with $100 or less. But is this the sort of economy that we want, or the sort of business environment that we want to create if we are to achieve middle income status by 2030?
There are always different sizes of business. You can never ignore the small business. It will always be there. There are also big businesses already there, already established. To the established ones, they can expand. To the ones that are starting up, they can also begin to develop slowly and raise up. So when you now talk of the middle income country, as it were, in 2030, it means that we are raising the standards of people because of wealth creation, because of business development. It also means that the gross domestic product of the country will now increase. So what we generate as a country will now be much higher than where we are today. At the moment, we are talking of less than 10 billion as an economy, or 13 or so, 10 billion. But this country, with the resources, the natural resources that it has, it can be a $500 billion economy, because we've got minerals which we can start now selling or even adding value to them. So there is opportunity to do that. Even communal people, they don't have to look at themselves as poor people anymore, because the resources are there and we can export whatever we produce, even on the land itself.
Let's look at the Zimbabwean case. You speak of the minerals which we're endowed with. You speak of the land, and you're saying that ordinary Zimbabweans in the rural areas can actually begin business and be participating in this whole entire economy. But the question is, do we have a clear-cut strategy that is coming out from government which shows us the roadmap in terms of the way we are moving in business and subsequently the entire economy?
I think the key thing about government is announcing a strategy, which is what they've done. It is now up to us to unpack that, and particularly people that are experienced in business is to unpack that and say, what is it that the president is saying? What do we need to do? It means we have to go out and attract investment. We have to go out and look for investors that can help us to build our businesses. It means we have to develop strategies in companies that can open up the economy, can open up the companies themselves. So it's not just being too restrictive and being content with what we did in the past, but it's now also being creative, innovative, and see how things can develop. The same applies to minerals. You see, minerals, what we've been doing in the past is extract them and send them out of the country to other people to process. In other words, our minerals have been helping other countries' economies at the expense of our own country. So we need now to say, what is it that we need to do? If we produce we extract platinum, what can we do with the platinum? What is it? Why are other countries buying our own platinum? What are they going to do with it? How can we add value to it? So the Japanese who make cars, who need catalytic converters, we say to them, why can't you come into Zimbabwe and build a factory that will produce these converters?
Do you see this happening given the fact that there are other African economies that are already taking space in terms of manufacturing? Case in point, South Africa, which is our biggest trading partner, and also equally our biggest competitor.
Yes.
Do you see certain industries coming to set up shop in Zimbabwe when already they have a regional presence?
Yes, I do see that. It's just a question of how attractive are we? We make it attractive for them. We give them tax holidays, but they come and set up here. The key thing is we want that technology to come to Zimbabwe. And so we must develop attractive packages for them to come and invest in Zimbabwe. Do I see that happen? I see that happen in my lifetime.
Join us in the second segment as we discuss the role of a policy framework in Zimbabwe in order to have a thriving economy. Join us then. Welcome back. This is Economic Forum, where we are discussing the economy as Zimbabwe thrives to be a middle income country by 2030. And with me is Mr. CALLISTO JOKONYA, a renowned industrialist. Before we went to the break, we're talking about the way of doing business. And you spoke about the presence of other critical industries in other countries, and Zimbabwe saying it can be open for business for those industries. But Zimbabwe for some time now has been a supermarket economy. How do we transform ourselves into a country that now produces its own products and be able to be competitive as well? Because some of the issues that have been coming out is the ease of doing business, the cost of electricity, the state of our roads, all those issues coming through, the railway network, which really has been dilapidated over time. How do we then see ourselves having to achieve these goals, yet we have these mammoth tasks ahead of us?
Yes, we've got bottlenecks in the process of achieving exactly the goal that we have set up for ourselves. I think what has happened now is that the government has started dealing with those areas. The railways is one of them that they've dealt with. They're dealing with the roads issues as well. They're dealing with the ease of doing business. In other words, they're trying to make it cheaper for one to start up a business in Zimbabwe. And let me say to you, the fundamental area to change that has always been the political language. You can't ignore the political language. If you begin to talk about a friendly political language, people will not see all those other handles. If I am wanted, liked, and encouraged to come to a country, I'll ignore all other bottlenecks. You will actually find that in countries where things, or even there are wars, but people are still going and investing there, is because they know that their investment is safe. An investor looks for safety. If he knows that I'm going to invest in this country and there are safety nets, then they will come and invest. So attracting other companies that have set up shop in other countries and trying to bring them into Zimbabwe, it all depends with the language and how attractive we want to become. And how desperate are we in order to have those investors come into our country.
Desperate, you say. Isn't that even a red flag? Because when one is desperate, they might clash for anything. Are we not mortgaging our economy at the expense of the consumer, at the expense of the country in general?
I want to quantify the question of mortgaging the country. You know, there's this belief in others' minds that we have got too much resources underground. Let's protect them. If you're going to protect to the level that you will never be able to sell them, extract them. The key thing is make sure you make the benefit now and do other things. Develop other industries that can carry you another 200-300 years to come. So if we say we've got minerals underground and they're not extracted, we don't have them. We only have them when we've extracted them and we have a buyer to buy them. Because sometimes by the time you want to dig your diamonds, other people have made other new inventions. And by that time we want now to say, let me go and sell this. You won't be able to sell it because there will not be any buyers. And this has happened in many other areas. So I don't think there's a question of mortgaging. When I say desperate, I'm not talking of desperate of being confused and making the right decision. I'm saying if you know what you want it eagerly, you fight for it and you get it done. But don't take 8 years to negotiate Zisco's deal. Don't take 10 years to attract even Dangote to come here and invest in Zimbabwe. You're wasting your time.
But are we able to negotiate with leverage? Because Zimbabwe really right now is in need of FDI. The president is on record for saying that we do need FDI. And he's excited that in 5 months we've attracted about $11 billion of commitment. Yes. And there's that sort of tone of celebration. Looking at that, I mean, should it be really be something that we should be looking forward to and celebrate about?
There are many good negotiators in this country, but I can't answer to say, are the people negotiating the best negotiators for the country? That I can't say. But there are many good negotiators in the whole world. We don't just have to look into Zimbabwe. We can hire them to come and negotiate for us. Good deals. There are consultants in the world who live for that purpose only, to negotiate good deals. And why shouldn't we use that? Why should we stick with ourselves, who probably may be vulnerable? So you may ask someone else to come and negotiate for you, and there are plenty. And you are saying the president has got 11 billion, which is a cause for celebration, that we've got deals that are supposed to come. I want to believe these deals are irrevocable. I want to believe that they are going to be implemented. Some other things are already coming in. But remember, this nation is going through a transition. We're going to be having elections in the next 2 months. And at the moment that is over, and I think the whole world, some of them have actually said it openly. We're waiting to see the free and fair elections.
What sort of results are these so-called investors looking for?
See, politicians are called animals of change. And so they want to look at them and say, once they have taken over, are they going to hold the decisions that they've promised that they will hold? And they're key to that. They're key to an investor's decision-making process. And that's what they're looking for. And you can see there is enthusiasm in investors to the current government that we have. They've warmed up to it. But of course, they're just waiting to see that the free and fair elections, are they going to take place?
There's also the sentiment around the way of doing business and also the policy framework. Yes. Do we have a robust policy framework that will actually turn these policies into something implementable?
Remember, the policy of government changes by the implementation of a budget. And the budget is 12 months. So they change policy from there. I think those are areas which eventually the government need to work on and make sure that the policies of government are set on stone, as it were. That they are not changeable just because there's a change of a person in a position. Those are key. And you find that in other developed countries, even change of a president or a change of a prime minister does not affect investment. That's what we need to develop as we develop our new policy or our new dispensation is looking into. They must actually look into that area and say, now let's have solid things that are not changeable. Our constitution does seem to address some of those things. There are certain things that you can't just go and amend in the constitution. That makes people feel comfortable. Or the beepers issues. Those in the past, they were there, but they were reversed.
But still, government is under fire coming from other countries saying that they are not respecting beepers, which is something that has become a bone of contention. I know on record that the Italian ambassador has been critical about that.
Yes, I know. Listen, because they happened in the past. We don't want to deny that they overlooked those beepers at one stage, particularly when we started the land reform. But I want to believe that the new dispensation that we have at the moment is showing that they respect the law and that they will not amend it.
Does the new dispensation allow for a change in the law? Join us in the third and final segment as we look at economics and politics. Welcome to the third and final segment of Economic Forum, where we're discussing Zimbabwe's economic turnaround strategies as it aims to attain middle income status by 2030. And with me is Mr. CALLISTO JOKONYA, past president of CZI as well, and he is a renowned industrialist. Now, let's talk about politics and economics. The whole issue around politics is that you can never separate the politics and the economics. ZANU-PF has been in power for 37 years, and now 38 years, and the issue is how do you then deal where there have been challenges before the new dispensation? How do you then turn around some of the negative image that has been associated with the 37 years in power to now where we are saying we want to achieve a middle income status by 2030?
But that's what the new dispensation has already decreed, that's what they're doing. So they've already done something. They've looked into the Indigenization Act. They've made amendments to that. They have opened the whole world to come. They have more or less abolished the question of the 49% in many other industries, except just the two minerals that we know about. So they've already done something, and they've forgiven many people. They've said, let's move on. Let's leave bygones be bygones, and let's move on and judge those that are in power with what they're doing now, not judge them with what happened in the past. So I think in terms of the politics issue, that has been addressed in a manner that has brought confidence to the economy. It has brought confidence to even local industrialists themselves. They would like to do something different.
Let's talk about politics and as well the private sector itself, because the private sector also got into politics. And it is a well-known fact that in 1999, they were also critical in the formation of opposition, as it were. Let's also look at the role that the private sector plays in this new dispensation. Government is saying we are moving forward. Is the private sector willing to work with government and working forward and letting bygones be bygones if there were any?
100%. I think private sector is excited about what happened. They're actually working hand in glove with the government now, and let me tell you, even the private sector are participating in politics themselves. So it looks exciting. I think it's the ground that the whole thing has been loosened. It's people now realize this is politics for our nation, politics for our business.
But Mr. Jokonya, how do you address the cash crunch that is affecting Zimbabwe? The liquidity issue is a big issue. How do you talk about confidence? How do you talk about positivity when ordinary Zimbabweans are having to lose productive time looking for the elusive cash?
The queues are there. And I want to say to the Zimbabweans, Rome was not built overnight. We will have to work on it. But the most important point I need to keep highlighting is that Zimbabwe is using foreign currencies, using not their own currency. They're using the United States dollar. And the United States dollar is a store of value. So many people use it and keep value with it. it's internationally used, acceptable. And so that's why even Zimbabweans themselves know it. When they get the US dollar, they keep it out under the pillow. They don't bring it back to the bank. So eventually, what I believe the government must be doing, or what they are already doing, is making sure that they have enough gold reserves before they print their own currency. I think there is no way we are going to ignore the fact that Zimbabwe now needs to have their own currency. And when that happens, there will not be any queues. Because this currency will only be sought after by Zimbabweans themselves.
But at what point do we need to have this discussion going? Because it seems like it is not really being talked about. Yet, like you are saying, we need to start looking at our own currency. At what point in this journey should we start talking about currency issues?
I want to believe that the government is already seized with the issue and the Reserve Bank. It's just a question of not just talking publicly in certain cases. But I want to believe they are. They are equally concerned about queues in the banks. And I think the president is on record talking about it. The governor of Reserve Bank is on record talking about it. And I, as an industrialist, I would be the same. I would say the same thing. I also don't want to see my workers not having cash on the end. But they've also introduced an alternative. The swiping issue seems to be working. Even in rural areas, it has already gone there.
But it is coming at a cost. And consumers have lamented the cost of doing business with the financial services sector.
Tawanda money is a cost. If people don't think so, it's a cost. The risk of carrying cash is a cost. I could lose it. But if I have a swipe, I don't lose it. Even if I lose it, you won't know my PIN number. So you can't take my money. But it's safe. So everything has a cost. But I think it's just a question of how do we handle it. If you go overseas in many other countries, they only have swipe. They don't move with cash anymore. And to print it is a cost. So I think those factors need to be taken into account. But what I want to really appeal, if I could do that, is appeal to the nation to say, I think let's also give this government time to sort a few things out. We have seen the president has gone to China to go and negotiate deals, which are likely to bring cash into the country. He was in Qatar. He's trying to negotiate to bring in things into the country. And I think the British are also looking into providing some help. Let me say that before the new dispensation, and I'm on record, this economy had collapsed. And it's starting from zero. So starting from zero is not always going to be very easy.
What sort of timelines are we looking at here?
Well, give them time. I don't think before the end of this year, up to the end of this year, something will definitely have taken off.
As industrialist, what is your take following the announcement by His Excellency the President that the old cabinet will actually go once he's given a mandate for the next 5 years?
Am I competent to say that? No. But let me say to you, we definitely would like to see a cabinet that is geared on delivery of service. If he puts a cabinet that can deliver, which is selected on merit, then this economy can only rise and increase and grow.
And of lobbyists, we do have different business model organizations, business membership organizations. We also have other lobbyist groups. Do you think that they have been effective in their dealing with government in order for them to bring out critical issues which the government needs to look at?
I'm a lobbyist myself. So I would say to you, have we been effective? I think we've achieved 50% of what we've tried to do. So it also depends on what the government is. I think the government in Zimbabwe has always been very powerful.
And what has been the remainder? What are the issues that you still think that are sticky?
Well, the issues that, let me tell you, the dispensation has been a major shift and in favor of business. We have a government that is in favor of business. We have a government that is in favor of production. We have a government that calls every day, let's increase value, let's increase value. As a business person, that's what I want. I start business in order to grow it, in order to make more money in my pocket. If I'm not making more money in my pocket, like what we did in the last 16 years, then that's not good enough for me as a business person.
Mr. CALLISTO JOKONYA, thank you so much for coming through to Economic Forum.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
My guest this week was Mr. CALLISTO JOKONYA, past president of CZI and a renowned industrialist, as we were talking about Zimbabwe's economic roadmap to 2030, where the country seeks to be a middle-income earning country by then. We've come to the end of the program. Join us again next time. My name is Tawanda Goodlanga. It's pleasant viewing.